Leakage of air and the bel canto singing voice. Now, teachers and singers, many singers today, are leaking air and they're being encouraged to leak breath in order to sort of protect the voice. I remember when I first sang with a connected sound, the teacher I had at the time had said, "Be careful. That's a lot of chest voice coming through." And my response was, well, it feels easier. It feels like I'm just releasing, just letting go. So we have to address this idea of leakage of breath. I'm going to use an example in L'ultima canzone, the second verse from Foglio. No. Yeah, I'll start from Foglia da Menta. But leakage of air essentially is rushing the breath ahead of the connection of resonance. Yeah, you're just leading with the breath. And that happens oftentimes when men work with female teachers because it is a technique used today that women will encourage an H behind certain words, an H to start the phrase. But what Dr. Barbara Mathis had found with using the H is when you start a phrase with H, you actually slap the folds together. This is what she found from scoping herself with a laryngoscope or a flexible endoscope. So when I sing foglia da menta, I'm not going to sing foglia da menta, yeah, o fiore di granata. There's no connection of the voice. Alternatively, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm not going to squeeze and muscle into it. Fiore, o fiore. Yeah, no. A lot of teachers out there are teaching to press down into the sternum or into the chest, in the chest cavity, down into the diaphragm. Diaphragmatic support is a natural coordination that should happen when you are not backwards breathing. And it is the diaphragmatic breath is the most natural way of breathing. So you shouldn't have to think very hard about so-called support or coordination with the breath. Now, a nice balance between breath and resonance that begins with a stoppage of breath at the folds and starts with either coup de glotte, meaning opening of the folds, the closure, with the posture, like with what's used on a vowel, or connecting directly into the consonant and releasing. This is a connected sound, and it grows over time. So foglia di menta. Foglia di menta, o fiore di granato. Yes? Now, if we go to the end of the song, we have Nina Ramenta, and this is the telltale sign when a man is in the mix voice or they are muscling something in the back of the mouth. Now, many men are taught to squeeze in the pharynx. But there's a man named Romero. He is a part of the social media problem of manipulation at the expense of the singer, sort of taking advantage of the general public's not understanding of true bel canto concepts, and he encourages a muscling in the pharynx. He calls it the yawn shape. He does it directly in the screen. That is not bel canto. If you want to call that the modern voice approach for opera singers, fine, but it's not bel canto. It's miles from what bel canto would encourage with the pharynx. The pharynx should stay buoyant, lively. However, it's not livened by muscling like in a yawn shape or feeling all the space. No, you're going to in time fatigue the upper voice. The upper voice is led through squillo, through a shape that you hold between the embouchure and the mouth, with between the tongue, and between the posture you hold in the upper body. So when I sing Nina Ramenta, you have to use the connection of the consonants to rediscover the squillo or the focus so you can release. So no, Nina Ramenta. No, we don't release breath first. You go from a connected place, and then with the posture, menta. That's why people have asked, why are you throwing your head back? I'm not throwing my head back. I'm encouraging a connection between the sternum and the release of resonance. And as I move up with the sternum, the head naturally has a slight tilt. I'm not throwing the head back. That is a disconnect between the head and the upper torso. So, Ibachi. Yes, we do not want to push, drive. We just release. Ya, Nina Raman. I give jaw space, length, no muscling in the pharynx. You just have natural jaw space and the or natural pharyngeal space. And an exercise that is a bit invasive, but I'm going to talk about it here just for a second, is an NG exercise. When you have NG like in sing, but don't go in the nose, you go to the nasal bone. So, if you were to release from the NG place, just release out. That is the optimal position, optimal natural position in the pharynx for resonance. Now, if this is going to sound completely backwards for a lot of the modern day singers because they're used to muscling space. And for them, the space is instrumental in shaping the vowel and everything else. But no, the space that the sound moves through does influence the resonance, but it's the tongue shape that changes the vowel sound. Yeah? Remember, if we didn't have our heads, we would just hear buzzing, but we have a shape that the sound moves through. You don't have to muscle it. Yes, so one more time. Nina Raman, you have to connect. Nina Raman. Yes. Ibachi keto dato. Yes, you have to reconnect on E with coup de glotte. Ibachi keto dato. Ibachi keto dato. You have to have a shape that the sound moves through. We do not leak air. We do not press into the tone. You do not drive the sound down. You simply, in coordination with the posture, release sound in a direction. Now, if you have any questions or you'd like to learn more, reach out to us at academyofbelcanto.com or send us an email at vocalmastery1@gmail.com.